Talk Box with Sean. You're listening to the Talk Box. Let's talk about it. Talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Yeah, you're listening to the Talk Box with Sean. You're listening to the Talk Box. Let's talk about it. Talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Talk about it.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, you guys. Rise and shine. It's your girl, Sonia G, here on the Talk Box, and it is Marvelous Monday, darling. It's marvelous because we woke up this morning. And so, you know what we say here on the Talk Box, every day above ground is a good day. And we got another day, another opportunity to get some things right that we didn't have quite right on yesterday.
That's right.
I don't know about you guys. I don't know about you, Sean, but this was a challenging weekend, but it was also a draining weekend for me. So I know I'm looking a little bit crazy up in here, but you know, we keep it real on
You good. You good. You good, sister. You good.
I just want to welcome my co-host on today, the marvelous and mighty man of God, Minister Sean Jones. So everybody, welcome Sean to the show.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here. Always good to be with you, sister. Always.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, Wilhelmina. Good morning, good morning. That's right. It is Marvelous Monday.
Yes.
We're not going to waste any time on today. I have two young children that I have today. So we're going to just jump right in. Today, what God put on my spirit, Sean, this morning was change is coming. And a lot of times we get stuck and we don't know or understand that if we just hang on in there, if you just, like the old folks say, hold on, a change is coming. We have to hold on. But I want to talk about change a little bit this morning because sometimes we don't even really realize what change really is. And for us to change is to alter. Sometimes it's a 180 change that's needed. Sometimes it's a 360 that's needed. It depends on where you are in your life. But the seasons, if we look outside, we'll realize and understand that God is teaching us about change every day. Because some days when we get up, it's sunshine out there. And then some days when we get up, there's rain. But something else that God teaches us, Sean, even looking at the weather, some days you get up and it's raining at the beginning of the day. But then as you go along the day, the sun will start to shine. And you'll forget about the rain that was this morning. And that's how it is in our life if we allow change to come into our life. I know, I say it all the time. You may not be living in the house that you want to live in. You may not be driving the car that you want to drive. But if you hang on in there, change is coming. I need somebody to write that in the comments.
Change is coming. Change is coming.
You know, you gotta believe it. Go ahead.
This is true. You do have to believe it. One thing I think when we think about changes, we kind of sort of think, okay, change is different and it's not the norm. It's out of the ordinary. No, change is natural. Yeah. Right? Change is the natural order of life. What did George Benson say? Are you old enough to know George Benson? Everything, I think it was him, everything must change. Nothing stays the same. The old become the young. Yeah. So it is the natural order of life, you know. So with that in mind, you know, when things are changing, it has helped me, Sonia. I don't know about anybody else, but it has helped me to think, okay, this is natural. It's like watching a parent age.
Good morning, Teresa. Yeah.
You know, watching yourself. Let's say yourself.
Okay.
Watching yourself age. You know, you look at yourself. You know, and realize I don't look like I did 10 years ago. You know, 20 years ago. You know what's happening, and then we can get anxiety, and we want to hold on, and so we want to look like we looked when we were 20, whatever. So we starve ourselves. We do all this stuff. Change is natural. Go with the flow.
Yeah.
in a sense. You know.
The first thing that came up in my spirit, Sean, was change is challenging.
Challenging.
And understand that change can sometimes be challenging. Change is challenging.
Right.
However, it's still necessary. Somebody say necessary.
Necessary.
It reminds me of the analogy that if you had a baby last year and that baby came into this world and that baby weighed 5 pounds and 5 ounces, and then this year come and that baby is still at 5 pounds and 5 ounces, then you know something is wrong with that picture. Something's wrong with that picture because change has not taken place. And in order for us to grow, we must change. And I know that change is challenging. However, it is necessary. What do you think about change being challenging?
Yeah, change is very challenging. Just like I was saying earlier, Sonia, we want things to be the same. So some of us, we have created a comfort zone, you know, right where we are, right in our situation. And so anything that's challenging or different frightens us, you know. So people are afraid, or we become afraid to change.
Afraid to change. Somebody write afraid. But really and truly, we don't have a reason to be afraid. Because God says that when we become new creations, all old things are passed away and everything become new. But part of that fear is because we're afraid of what other folk gonna say. Who she thinks she's stuck up. I remember when I used to smoke dope with him. I remember when he used to jump up and down in me, and now he want to be a pastor in the pulpit. I remember when everything she said was a lie. I remember when he was broke, busted, and disgusted.
Right.
And we allow other people's expressions of us to stifle us and keep us afraid of change. But we need to embrace change and embrace growth so that we can be the men and the women of God that God have already called, ordained us to be. He created us for greatness. He created us as victorious. He created us as above and not beneath. But when we stay stuck, when we stay afraid, then we cannot become the men and women that he called and ordained us to be.
That is true. That is true. A lot of times I think we are more concerned about impressing others than we are impressing God. You know what I mean? We're more concerned about what are they going to think about me, huh? Then what is God going to think about me?
Right.
We don't think about that. Yesterday, Pastor said something in church. He was I was saying he was making a pitch for people to come to Sunday school and you know Bible study, and he said just answer this. He said, what are you gonna say to God, right? When God asks you, you know, what did you have more important to do than to come to Bible study, than to what did you have that was more important? Whoa.
More important.
When he said that,
More important than worship.
More important to do, you know. So we are all about our, you know, what we want, and before we even consider what God wants. And what God wants for us is for us to change. It's for us to grow, right, into the image of Christ. That can happen without change.
That's right. I'll tell you something else that we're afraid of. We're afraid of what other folk may think, but we're also afraid of the unknown. Well, if I change, what
That's
is that gonna look like for me? I've never been on that platform before, so I'm afraid to change. People have spoke life into me, but I have negated to embrace the life that they've spoke and embrace that change because I'm afraid of the unknown.
unknown.
I remember when I was a drug addict. I would say I don't want to get high no more, but what am I going to do when I'm not high? Because year after year after year, I was high from sun up to sundown, and so I was afraid of what that looked like. And then we get afraid of failing.
True.
So we afraid of what people say. We're afraid of the unknown, and we're afraid of failing. But there is no room for you to be afraid to fail. Everybody fails sometimes. But do you know that as long as I'm walking on the journey, even if I take a wrong turn and be off course for a little while, if I just get back on course, I don't have to be afraid of the journey. I can just continue on. So I don't have to be afraid of failure. I tell this analogy. Do you know how long and how many times Thomas Edison had to get your light bulb together? Say if he had gotten so afraid that he turned around and quit, we would still be in darkness today. What about how you make your food in the morning? How you warm up your coffee? People didn't get up with a coffee maker on their mind and made it right the first time. It has to go through a process. Failure is part of the process. Somebody say part of the process.
Part of the process.
Part of the process. Failing is part of the process. Think about this. Before you get married, you go through different relationships, and those relationships fail. Those failed relationships is getting you hopefully prepared for that marriage that is coming. Failure is part of the process. Y'all need to write that down. That's important. So we don't have to be afraid of failing. What you need to be afraid of is being stuck. When you do fail, get back up and do it again. It's part of the process.
And that is true, Sonia. If I gotta keep it real, this is the talk box, right? So we keep it real.
That's right.
We keep it real here, right? Well, let me keep it real. That if I gotta keep it real, I would say that a lot of us too are God, what was I thinking? I was just had it in my mind. Not afraid, because we've already talked about afraid. We're lazy. That's it. We're lazy. We don't want to change. We are comfortable in our whatever it is. We're comfortable in our mindset, and we don't want to change.
Right.
So what do we do when we're feeling stuck in our lives, stuck in our situations? It could be job, relationship, anything. How do we gain the courage and all that sort of stuff to step out?
Well, the first thing we need to know is that we have to know our purpose. Change has to have purpose. There has to be purpose to change. Why did I want to change when I was smoked and doped out? Because I wanted to look different. I was tired of looking like I needed a casket to be laid in. I was just walking around already dead, just needing somewhere to lay down. My purpose of change during that time is because it was hard work coming up with $1,000 a day. I said life has to be better than this. Life has to have something else in store for me. So you have to first have purpose. And if you don't know what your purpose is, and then we need to go down in prayer and ask God, what am I supposed to do? I knew from a small child that I was supposed to preach and teach God's word. I knew that I was an anointed woman of God, even at a small child. But some of the decisions that I made didn't look like that was the pathway. But I got off course. But what we need to do is have purpose. Change has to have purpose.
That's true. That's true. And a lot of times I think that purpose has to be bigger than yourself.
Definitely.
Yeah. What'd you say? Or different?
Most definitely.
Most definitely. Yeah. It has to be bigger than yourself because, again, when you think only about what you want and what's for you, you still sort of stay limited, and it's funny how this happens. But when we consider others and we start to think and do for others, rather, do for others, our lives become better. If
Yes.
my purpose is I want to help so and so. I want to help people. I want to help in this situation. I see one of my things is why I started teaching Taekwondo back in the '90s. Was I walked into a YMCA and I saw kids just running around and they were almost ran over me, and just over other adults without discipline. And so my purpose was I see these children and they need some discipline. They
Mm-hmm.
need some structure. And so I began to teach, and it wasn't about me at all. It was about the children, right? And so, yeah, so things happen from there. So we have to get a purpose and get a purpose that's bigger than yourself.
Mm-hmm.
How can I be of some benefit before the Lord takes me out of here or lets me come home? How can I be of some benefit
Right.
to my family, my community?
Well, not only does change have to have purpose, but then you got to be motivated. You got to be
Motivated.
motivated. Change has to have motivation. What is motivating you? I had to turn in the motivation to make money to get high all day. I had to change that motivation because some of us is motivated to do the wrong things on a daily basis. So you have to change your motivation. What is motivating you? Get motivated about God's will instead of your own. Get motivated about being more and more like Christ. You know how Christ was? He looked beyond all of my faults and still provide my needs. So get motivated into stop looking at the situation and circumstance and the issue that you're going through and know that change is coming. Get motivated. Somebody say, get motivated.
Ooh, get motivated. Get motivated. That ties closely with purpose.
Mhm.
Once you discover your purpose, right, then that is your motivation, right,
Right.
for creating change. I got you. Motivation, purpose, motivation.
Yes. And then we're going to talk about this. Change, you guys, takes time. Change takes time. Just like I just gave the analogy of the baby being born at 5 pounds and 5 ounces on last year. That's why come when we have that baby and we're nurturing that baby, we sometimes don't see the change in the baby, the growth in the baby, because we're right up on it. But other folk can come and see your baby and say, "Gosh, your baby done got so big." But change takes time. And because we're in a microwave society, and because you know that God have given you this vision that you're supposed to be a business owner, that you're supposed to do this and do that, and then you try it for 5 minutes and you throw up your hands and do something different because we're in a microwave society. But the truth of the matter is change takes time. So I have to give myself time to conform to this new life, to conform to this new way of thinking. Now, let me put a pin right there, Brother Sean.
Go ahead.
That does not mean that God can't fix that thing instantly. We know about the woman with the issue of blood that touched the hem of Jesus's garment and became whole instantly. God said, "Who touched me?" Because he felt the virtue leave out of his body. But I want to remind you of some stuff about that woman with that issue of blood.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, she was healed instantly when she touched the hem of the garment, but she had been through some things. She had went from doctor to doctor. She had spent all that she had. She had been separated for 12 long years before she got her healing. So that means that her healing actually took time, even though she was healed instantly. Going to that, it took some time. So we need to know and understand that change takes time. And what I've learned in my life, Brother Sean, is some things that I write down. I'm good about write the vision, make it plain. And I write my goals and my visions. I wish I was on a different camera. I'll show you my board. I got my board up this morning.
Board. Okay.
But when I write those things down, it seemed like it took me a long time to reach some of those goals. But then once I reached that particular success of that goal, it don't seem so long. It's just like pushing out that baby. We don't carry that thing. We had back pain, the baby kicking and doing all of that stuff. But then right before it pops out comes the most pain and the most pressure. But if we keep pushing, we push that baby out and we forget about the struggle. So we need to know ahead of time before we implement change that change takes time.
It does take time. Now, I don't know much about pushing babies out, but I do know that, I do know that when I was hung out, right, on dope, right, and I remember when I prayed for God to deliver me, I remember that moment with God. And at that moment, Sonia, I felt God's deliverance. At that moment, I felt relieved. I was in tears. I was holding the dope in my hand and everything. And I'm praying to God, if you don't deliver me, no, it's not going to happen. And at that moment, I felt delivered, but I proceeded with what I was doing. And thereafter, there was maybe another time or two, right? It takes time. However, those times that I proceeded, it wasn't the same.
That's right. That's right. It's not, when Jesus stepped up on the scene, everything has to change.
It has to change.
But that goes back to Satan will try to trick us in those instances because you felt the deliverance. You know that a change had taken place, but you fell down again. So you get afraid of failing again. And
you start to question, did God hear me? Yeah.
Some of us, we fall down and the devil trick us into believing that the change has not yet taken place. And we give up. We throw our hands up.
We throw our hands up.
We throw our hands up, and the devil done tricked us into thinking that change hasn't come. So I want to remind everybody, Wilhelmina said change doesn't happen right away.
Exactly.
Somebody say it's a process.
It's a process. Thank you, Wilhelmina. That's true.
And since it's a process, you guys, let me tell you what change will take. Change takes patience. We got to be patient. The only trust that you can have is your trust in God. But we have to have patience. We have to have patience.
What you said.
Go ahead, Brother Sean.
I was just saying what you said. It does take patience,
It takes patience.
Yeah, you can't hurry God.
You just have to wait. Somebody say patience. Somebody go ahead and put patience in the comment section. And because we're moving along here.
And you know what? You talk about a microwave society. You say that, and we do live in that microwave society, and we don't have. Sometimes you need to cook things in the oven, on stovetop, just to train yourself to be patient again. To wait. Yeah.
And then change also takes self-control. Teresa said it's a process. Change takes patience. Yes, it does. but it also takes self-control. And that's something that we have to struggle with sometimes. Because if anybody want to be real, and this is the talk box where we keep it 100% real, your favorite sin is fun. Your favorite sin feels good to your flesh. Your favorite sin is something that you really want to hang on to, and you hope that God give you a sin pass on that favorite sin because it's fun, because it feels good. So we have to take self-control over that thing so that we can conquer and allow the change to come.
Ain't giving out no sin passes. No sin passes, huh?
No sin passes. No, you ain't getting none today. You ain't getting none today. When you know better, you ought to do better. When you know better, you ought to do better. Now, there are some people, because I mentor a lot of people, and you guys, y'all need to go on my my website, because I mentor people as well. I'm gonna put the website on there. I mentor and that sort of thing. And some of my people is struggling with some generational things. Some of my people that I mentor, they're dealing with some soul ties, some things that they dealing with some strongman issues. And when we're dealing with strongman issues, that's a whole nother ball game to why we need some self-control. Right. Because that means that we're fighting against our flesh. We're no longer just afraid of what people say. You ever seen some people who is into some stuff that's so crazy that the enemy done overwhelm them with that thing, and they just don't care. They don't care who see it. They don't care who know about it. And right. Satan have tricked you into thinking that you're okay.
You're right. You're right.
And that nothing is wrong with your behavior.
Yeah.
But the devil is a lie.
Yeah.
Wilhelmina said one of the fruits of the spirit. Yes, yes. I just want to remind everybody that change is coming.
It's coming. It's on the way.
It's on the way. We just gotta hold on.
Gotta hold on.
You gotta hold on. If you at the end of your rope, tie a knot and keep on hanging.
Hang on.
If you're at the end of your rope, tie a knot and just keep on hanging, because God is up to something when you are down to nothing. I want to remind everybody today as well that we have, who is coming on? Y'all make sure that y'all see my premiere on the talk box today. My son is my co-host, and we'll be dropping that premiere at 6 p.m. today. I want to also go ahead and thank Sean in advance, because this week we're doing a segment on why men cheat. And we're going to have 2 married folk and hopefully 2 single men. So I think I'm going to stay off the camera for that one. I'm going to let the boys just get at it. So y'all don't want to miss that. And then right after that, we're going to do why women cheat, because society has changed around. It's a whole nother ball game with these women. So I done talked to a few women who have agreed to speak openly and honestly. And let me do full disclosure. That does not mean that the men on the panel are cheating at this moment. That doesn't mean that they're doing anything at the moment, but we are going to share our strength and our experiences.
Yeah.
One of the ones that's coming on is openly talks about him cheating, the beginning of his marriage, and how he almost lost his marriage. So the why men cheat. So I'm going to put something out there, and I want to make sure that you guys do not miss that segment.
Yeah,
so again, I want to thank you, Sean, for being brave enough to come sit in the studio, you guys. They're going to be in the studio and talking about why men cheat. And then the next podcast will be why women cheat. So I just want to
say one thing.
Yes.
One thing before we close out here. And I believe that one of our purpose is It's for information, and hopefully that we can help heal some of the stuff that we've got going on. You know, men and women have things going on separately and collectively, but we need healing. So this is an effort, right? And to promote healing, but we got to get it out.
Yeah. Well, you know what I say, and you know what we say here on the Talk Box. Truth and transparency is the avenue to wholeness. You cannot become whole if you're not truthful and transparent. I couldn't stop some of the things that was actually crippling my life if I hadn't got real with myself. I know I'm a new creation now, but until I said to myself, you know what? I'm a doggone junkie. I'm a crackhead. I couldn't get healed and delivered from that. So until we get to a place in relationships, because I think it's relationships that is what's going to heal the nation, whether that's marriages, whether that's friendships, but any of those ships that has to have love attached to it, and that's where healing becomes. But if you have a spirit of hoishness and you cannot admit your spirit of hoishness, then you can't become whole with that. But a lot of times it's because, like we just said, change is challenging, change is difficult. But we want to remind you today that change is coming. Sean, do you want to say anything before we close out?
Oh, I just want to thank you again, Sonia, for having me as a co-host on your the Talk Box, and just thank everybody who has tuned in, you know, and to be encouraged, just like Sonia said to us, you know, change is coming. It's inevitable. Hold on to God's unchanging hand.
Hold on. Feel like singing this morning. Okay. But anyway, you guys, thank you so very much for coming on to the Talk Box. I just want to remind you that change is coming. We see it every day.
And it's for your good.
Hold on. Huh?
I said, and it's for your good. Change is coming, and it's for your good.
And it's for your good. So I hope and pray that something we have said is helping you along life's journey this morning. But it's your girl, Sonia G, here on the Talk Box with Brother Sean. And we appreciate you coming. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. God bless you, and you have a blessed day.
Let's talk about it. Yeah, listening to the Talk Box with Sean. Yeah. Listen to the Talk Box. Let's talk about it. Talk about it.